Hello. This is Cryal region sprites with dungeons and dragonites. We are working on Glintis, a Prism/water type Pokémon based on a mantis shrimp. If you are confused on the Prism part, that is understandable as it is a new typing included in our fan-made game. It is based on light rays, refractions, reflections, and crystal structures. They resist electric and psychic types. They are weak to ground and steel types. They are immune to water types. Glintis was definitely a challenge, as I attempted to make it very colorful like a rainbow almost and trying to add to the already colorful mantis shrimp. I am not sure I completely am with this sprite attempt, but I think it is at least a good start. Let me know what you think in the comments. I drew the outline off camera as I'm still learning how exactly to make these sprites, and it takes me hours to figure it out, and still I can tell they are not perfect. I started with figuring out the back plates so I could determine top shell and bottom shell. I felt yellow had a nice separation quality to it with all the blue I was going to add. I'm not sure why I added the plus sign detail, but I felt the plates needed something else to add color and distance from the light blue and how much of it there was. Here I was trying to separate where the eyes were from the head. I think the eyes and claws are the main detail that really shows exactly the creature we are trying to create. I began working on the eyes, and man, it was rough at first and I was close to scrapping this eye. For now they look very flat and honestly a mess, but in the end I think it cleaned up and got to the effect I was going for. When I first started this with the idea of so many colors on one Pokemon, I didn't think it was going to work. I mean, it might not have, but I guess it is what it is for now. I began the claws here, and again, I want to have the colors flow the same as the eyes. At this point I was just completely guessing where to add each color and was panicking even more that I was failing at this one. Glintis was chosen for the video today by our Discord server for the Pokemon of the day. Well, kind of. The poll landed on a choice of picking a random type, and the type ended up being Prism type. I chose Glintis in the end for the challenge, and for the fact it was my first Pokemon I came up with for Prism type other than my version of Crystal Onyx. You'll get to see that spoiler later. Check out the link to Discord in my channel description. Back to the drawing of Glintis. At this point I was trying to figure out how to differentiate the top of the claws from the bottom and not look just completely mangled. I think once I had both claws colored you could start to see the opening of the claws. The shading on them later really helps. Now on to my favorite part of sprite making. The shading. I do not think I am alone in this when I say the shading just completely changes the sprite for the better. I am still learning all the skills to do this, but I am absolutely enjoying doing it. Our fan-made game came to thought from our server playing a Pokemon role-playing game called Pokeroll. I recommend checking it out as it is a different style RPG game. I just continue to shade and shade and shade for a good while. This front sprite actually took me over an hour to color. When I got to the back sprite it only took me around 30 minutes. I am thinking that is from understanding where the colors went by then, but I am not complaining. I was glad how they came out. I wanted to make the tail almost feather-like, but still showing how reflective it is. I am not sure why I chose to do the middle fin a different color, but I think it adds more character to this Pokemon. Something different than the standard color palettes on most Pokemon. From there, I jumped around doing the darker shading around the belly and legs before I tackled the claws. The claws weren't necessarily difficult, but I was worried the effect wouldn't work. At first I was thinking it was not working at all. But I stuck with it, and eventually it started to clean up and show the effect I was looking for, at least to me anyways. Between the claws I was almost shading the eyes as both the claws and eyes matched colors, and I felt it was faster to jump back and forth when I had each color in hand. If you are wondering what program I am using, it is called Piskel. It is completely free and it has been so helpful to use. Are there better programs? Probably, but I have no complaints with Piskel at all. After I finished the front sprite, I moved on to the back one. Again, I drew a rough outline off camera as I am still learning. I started with the back shell again for the same reason, trying to determine top and bottom shell and where each blue color was going to go. I used yellow like last time, but for the left side and the top I used black as I felt the yellow was more of the trim color and you should not be able to see it from the angle of Glintis. I eventually went back at the literal end of the recording and changed the black outline for shell to a dark blue as I think it looked better. Let me know what you think. Should I change it back to black? I stopped and looked at it and I wasn't sure it looked right. I just kept thinking it looked like I threw sushi on poor Glintis back. Well, actually he may like sushi, so maybe it's not a big deal. Next I began separating all the areas to be able to use the fill tool for all the blue sections. I started with adding all the gold ring details on the arms and legs, and a little of the aquamarine color on what I am calling shoulders. I filled in all the light and dark blue main sections, and went to work on the eyes to separate them from the head again. I ended up having to draw more to the outline because I felt the eyes were merged into the head. At that point I began added all those many colors to the eyes, again absolutely guessing where to color. Can't forget the random plus signs. Now it is claw time again. I fast and loosely threw the colors on each claw as I knew I was going back and changing it up when I began to shade it. The bottom claw went a lot smooth this time around. I think I overall made the difference better, and you can tell a little better on the back sprite versus the front. The only thing going through my mind was the fact that I already have a rough design of Glintis evolution and it was just as colorful. I think Pokémon has been missing out on using a mantis shrimp. They have extreme vision and one of the fastest and most powerful punches in the animal kingdom. I feel that just asked to be a Pokémon. I actually incorporated both those ideas into abilities and signature moves for them. The shiny version I have planned I think is pretty cool, but it is up to my Discord server to decide. If you want to be a part of the action firsthand and see more live updates of the game, check out our Discord. We also have multiple ways of playing D&D and other Pokémon-related games. At this point I was almost to the end, and all that was left was shading, and it really brought Glintis together. Overall, I know many people might not like the design choice, but I stand behind my decision and think it turned out better than I thought it would. Can't forget his whiskers. Almost done with all the shading. I was bouncing all over the page looking for anything I missed. Here is the part 1 mentioned about changing the back shell outline to a dark blue. I think it matched better, and I even flipped back to the front sprite to see if it looked better that way too. Just let me know and we can always go back and change it to whatever way looked better. Quick look at both finished sprites, and now onto the battle scene to check them out. Here is Glintis versus Glintis. They do not look too bad. I definitely can see on the front sprite it needs some work, but hey, it made it to the game. You'll see Glintis use its signature move Spectrum Sight. It raises speed and accuracy. This has been a good time and I enjoyed this one. Though, hopefully the Pokémon of the day tomorrow is a bit easier. If you liked the video, leave us a like. Also subscribe to see more videos like this and many others soon.